Ladies and gentlemen, this is Prime News on My Media Prime. Thanks for being a part of the Friday edition of Prime News on My Media Prime live from Studio A at Fengudron Bange in the country's economic capital, Douala. My name is Genda Peldrin Blanche King. The government of Cameroon has condemned in strong terms the publicity carried out by a cosmetic brand in the country. The brand promoter has been given 48 hours to pull down the advert and stop the campaign on all panels and social media networks. Likewise, artists and celebrities in Cameroon have also decried all arts or exhibitions that suggest white superiority over black skin. They equally discourage skin depigmentation. Details with Darling Gonde in the following report.
In his latest track, Njangsang, Big G Baba, a renowned Cameroonian pidgin rapper, spits fire against skin depigmentation. Released on October 11, 2020, the music talks about ladies who use skin bleaching products to become fairer in complexion.
Shine for face, black for food. Shine for face, black for food. Naturally fine black, turn to fake white.
The artist regrets that the products used are not always the best, leading to catastrophic outcomes like making the face white and the legs dark, a situation he calls Njangsang. With the refrain, shine for face, black for food, Big G Baba shames women who are not comfortable with their natural skin colors. With the aim of making people understand that skin bleaching is abusing human nature, the video recounts the story of a man who gets carried away by the shiny complexion of a lady only to discover at the end that she's not what he had thought she was, while starring the famous Cameroonian comedian Town Crier. As at the 11th of October when the music video was released, it has hit over 30,000 views on YouTube with a roll of comments flooding in. While using a list of national and international artists in denouncing skin bleaching, Big G Baba doesn't fail to mention himself too as a brand ambassador for the Njangsang crew. Aside Njangsang, he has hit the Cameroon music landscape with songs such as Story Day, Solution Day, Confusion, amongst others.
Kumba City has a new manager at the helm of the city council. Mr. Gregory Mewanu was elected city mayor of Kumba yesterday after a highly contested elections at the rerun of the mayoral polls. Details with Tamfo Sidwan Dimbia in the following report.
The city of Kumba was overwhelmed by the election of the new city mayor, Gregory Mewanu, who challenged the long-term government delegate, Ngokele Victor, even after he was declared winner as the Kumba city mayor on March 3, 2020. Gregory Mewanu petitioned the result on basis that the conduct of the election was faulty. The administrative court discharged the petition, but Gregory Mewanu appealed at the Supreme Court in Yaoundé, and a rerun of the city mayoral election was called for October 22, 2020. During the primaries that were chaired by Minister Paul Tasson from the Central Committee of the CPDM, Greg Mewanu scored 42 against Ngokele Victor, who had 33 votes, and at the final election, Greg Mewanu was given 64 votes against 11 null votes. The news of his victory transformed the Kumba city into a celebration ground as bike riders and petty traders carried the new city bus along the streets of Kumba, celebrating a new era which to many will be associated with colorful developmental projects. The new mayor promised that he would develop Kumba and bring back the lost glories.
That the city of Kumba is going to get back to absolute greatness. This is a pledge from my humble self and the other 74 councillors that makes up the Kumba City Council.
To the CPDM Central Committee member delegated to oversee the conduct of the elections, he expressed satisfaction but praised that in 2035, the next city mayor should still come from the CPDM party.
I am living with election because we attained the objective, which was to make sure that we have the new city mayor 2025. We should be meeting again to elect another city mayor under the flagship of the CPDF.
The crowd followed the new city mayor to his home, and it was all celebration.
Sympathizers and supporters of MRC leader Professor Maurice Kamto have continued calls for his release or his freedom as a citizen of the country, such as the case of a lady who stripped naked in what was intended to be a reproach against the forces of law and order. Professor Maurice Kamto has been under house arrest with military positioned or forces of law and order positioned in front of his residence for over 1 month now. He's accused of masterminding the September 22, 2020 protests in Douala, the economic capital of the country, intended to oust the democratically elected president of the country. Details with Darling Gonde in the following report.
As October 22nd, 2020 made the strong political leader Maurice Kamto 1 month on the house arrest, it was rather time for his release, according to his supporters. The situation which prompted a group of the Cameroon Renaissance Party supporters to pay their leader Maurice Kamto a visit. Immediately, security around the Maurice Kamto's residence at the Santa Barbara neighborhood in Yaoundé was beefed up, and in response to this, the president of the Cameroon Renaissance Party, Maurice Kamto, appeared in public for the first time since the 22nd of September 2020. According to the second vice president of the party, Tyrian Balbin Noah, the group of party supporters who were visiting their leader had been met with stiff resistance by the forces of law and order. In retaliation to this denial, this lady, as clearly seen on the screen, went the extra mile to demonstrate her love for her leader by stripping naked and seeking access to see him.
Madame Traversée.
With the video having gone viral, it has been received with mixed feelings amongst many Cameroonians and the media as well, as many are wondering why she'll go to that extent and if she actually is a member of the party. As of now, the Cameroon Renaissance Movement say over 200 supporters of the party are detained in cells across the country since the September 22nd protests.
Minister of Public Works Ngano Jumesi was on ground recently to ensure that ongoing works at the Dibamba Bridge is completed within the fixed time frame. During his visit, the minister emphasized that works be completed before the end of December. Gladys Bomotongina in the French language.
Mis aux arrêts depuis le début de la pandémie de coronavirus et repris il y a 2 semaines de cela alors que la Chan frappe à la porte, les travaux de réaménagement et construction d'un pont sur la Dibamba mettent les habitants de cette localité dans une situation d'inconfort, comme le reconnaît le ministre des Travaux publics, présent lui-même sur le site. Il précise d'ailleurs que le temps de livraison de ce chantier est prévu pour 1 mois avant le début de la Chan.
Et l'interdit de prendre la décision puisque c'est moi qui vais la prendre. Donc j'ai vu la densité du trafic avec les trapèzes de la route. Il faut donc l'élargir. Il y a l'option de multiplier les ateliers pour que au 15 décembre 2020, les travaux d'urgence
Par ailleurs, les populations semblent douter du délai d'acheminement donné au regard de la laxité qu'ils observent chez les différents intervenants sur ces travaux.
Avec les routes. Bon, si ça devait marcher normalement, les gens d'Assonnet devaient être sur le terrain.
Pas de tortue, puisque depuis plus d'un an qu'on nous a déguerpis, il n'y a pas un avancement considérable. On n'est nulle part. Nous sommes tous dans l'attente, puisque je passe la majorité du temps avec les conducteurs d'engins ici. Ils ne font presque rien. Comme tout à l'heure, depuis le matin, vous ne voyez pas ce qu'ils ont fait.
En effet, la question sur la solution au désengorgement de cette route a aussi été soulevée par le maire de cette localité qui a reçu vive réponse du ministre par la présentation du planning et objectif de leurs travaux visant de prime abord cette résolution. D'ici le 15 décembre 2020, l'expérience de voir cette promesse réalisée est donc grande chez les Camerounais.
Out of the country, Libya's two rival factions have signed a permanent ceasefire agreement after 5 days of talks at the United Nations headquarters in Geneva. The two warring parties signed a complete countrywide and a permanent ceasefire agreement with immediate effect. These and more in the following report. Nigerians have continued to express disappointment and discontent following the president's address on Thursday night. Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari, in a national TV address, talked about the ongoing unrest in Nigeria recently. Disgruntled citizens have, however, noted the speech failed to mention the attack on peaceful protesters on Tuesday night in Lagos, which led to the death of some persons and many others injured. The quick reactions from Nigerians online suggest Buhari's handles excluded the death of civilians in Lekki and the speech lacked empathy. For over 2 weeks, Nigerians have been on a course to end police brutality and the excesses of men in uniform. They are equally demanding for better living conditions. The peaceful street demonstrations recently gave birth to violence and the death of some individuals. Former U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres had earlier called on Buhari's government to address the demands of the citizens for a better country. But according to Buhari in his recent speech, neighboring countries and members of the international community, many of whom have expressed concerns about the ongoing development in Nigeria, should seek to know all the facts available before taking a position or rushing to judgment and making hasty pronouncements. Most Nigerians have, however, rejected the speech of the president. In Libya, Libya's two rival factions have signed a permanent ceasefire agreement today after 5 days of talks at the United Nations. Earlier today, at the United Nations headquarters in Geneva, the two Libyan delegations signed a complete countrywide and permanent ceasefire agreement with immediate effect, facilitated by the United Nations. Libya has been hit by conflict for close to a decade since the overthrown and killing of Muammar Gaddafi in a NATO-backed uprising. Since then, the North African country has been dominated by armed groups driven by local conflicts and divided between two bitterly opposed administrators. Hopes for a solution have, however, risen following the ceasefire agreement. Protests in Sudan have turned deadly after one person was reportedly killed yesterday and several others injured. The demonstrations on Wednesday in the cities of Khartoum and Omdurman are triggered by the worsening economic situation, and protesters are demanding justice for the hundreds killed during the 2019 uprising, which led to Omar al-Bashir being toppled. Reports confirm over 250 people were killed during the anti-Bashir protests. Sudan is on a rocky 3-year transition under a joint civilian-military administration, but is struggling with severe economic crisis and high consumer prices. The transitional authorities have been pushing to end the country's isolation and rebuild its economy. Thanks for being a part of today's edition of Prime News on My Major Prime. See you on Monday at 6:30 for another edition of Prime News on My Major Prime. Ewana Eli Nolinga produced the news. I am Genda Belgian Blanche King. Good night and happy weekend.